What does a class of school children in Zimbabwe have in common with a farmer in New Mexico, a government whistleblower, a U.S. military fighter pilot, and a family in Las Vegas? Well, they've all seen UFOs.
You're listening to Studio 22.
Welcome to Studio 22. I'm Will Meldman, and this is Brock O'Hearn, and we have some deep, gnarly shit to get into.
I've been excited about this one because you've been talking about UFOs for about 2 weeks now, and you've been sharing. I've been getting play-by-plays of stuff that's been going on and things that you've been finding, conversations that high-level people have been having. And I've been busy for the past week working, and now it's time to get the full download.
100%. In the time we've been preparing for this episode, because we did prepare a lot of scientific data and witness testimonies and et cetera, there was another UFO sighting in Las Vegas. That was the family. And then you have Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, every big person commenting about UFOs again. And I'm like, damn it, Brock, we could have recorded this already. No, just kidding. No, this was perfect timing because in the time of preparing, another UFO sighting happened in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And then the idea for this came out when the Whistleblower came out a couple weeks ago. So like it's all according to plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been tracking. I watch the Y-Files on YouTube. That's a great channel for it. Jeremy Corbell has been on Rogan a lot. Bob Lazar has been on Rogan. Russell Brand does a good job with like new kind of current event stories. But when you look at the astronomical data, and that's what we're about to get into, that's what I want to give context here for. I don't want to just say there's aliens and there's UFOs, even though all these people are saying that there are. I want to like look at our universe as a whole and understand why there could be, right?
Yeah, I like that. I like that perspective because, you know, it's if you just kind of go out there and say, you know, there's flying saucers and you know, whales in space or something, you know, like you're going to sound out of your mind. But when you start to give perspective of how vast the universe is and beyond, it kind of makes you think a little more than just our immediate scope of reality, you know?
100%. And that is a good segue into some of this too, because when you look at the history of humanity, you know, it was blasphemous. It was against the church to say that the earth isn't the center of the universe. And then we had Copernicus and Galileo, and we realized, no, we circle our sun and that, you know, and yada, yada, yada. So like, it's always been going from we are the center to no. There is literally over 100 billion planets in the Milky Way galaxy that we know of.
And that's one galaxy among hundreds of thousands, millions, who knows?
Exactly. And among the 100 billion planets in our galaxy, 300 million of them could sustain life based off the simple parameters that we've uncovered, right?
So you said 100 billion planets and 300 million of them could sustain life.
100%.
Wow. That's wild.
Totally wild. And the three factors that we look for in a planet to support life is the proximity it is to the star that it rotates around. So there's a habitable zone around each star. And that's because, you know, the atmosphere, it's either too much heat or not enough heat, right? And then liquid water, you need actual liquid water, and you need like a terrestrial surface. Like it can't be a gas giant like Jupiter, obviously. It's got to be some sort of surface. And then they also look at mass. They also look at, is it around half the size of Earth or 2 times the size of Earth? And that's typically like, these are kind of vague guidelines, but it's essentially like, this is what we know can support life. So we're going to use what we know.
Yeah. See, that's when you're talking about that stuff, immediately where my mind goes is that's based on what it would take to essentially support our life, or at least life, some forms of life on Earth, like microbiome and, you know, maybe humans, obviously more complex, but that's with evolution and what we know, going to let's say another planet that can support life but maybe has harsher conditions. Wouldn't you think that, based off what we know with evolution, whatever, that there might be a different type of species of human or whatever it may be that's more resilient to the harsher conditions, right?
100%. But we're using our basis for life.
Yeah.
And there could be other bases.
Yeah.
Like we're oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen based, but there could be carbon based life or something, right? Like we don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it, is like this is all speculation.
Yeah. Or there could be, gases that we have no clue that are supporting life in other, solar systems.
Yeah, single cell organisms that live in hydrogen rich atmospheres. Yeah. Like the Halcyon worlds, they call them, of like, Halcyon. Yeah, where it's essentially there could be microbial organisms in these harsh conditions that can survive, but how long the evolutionary chain can they get?
Interesting.
It's crazy, right?
Very vast amount of information.
If we look at the facts, and by the way, like our lifetime is by far the most advanced we've ever gotten in exploring the universe. Like
that we know of.
100%. And that's exactly it. The known universe. Like the unknown universe, we can't see it because it's about 100 billion light years across. It's expanding at the speed of light. So if the expansion of our universe is expanding that fast and there's planets 100 billion light years away, the light from those planets will never reach us in our lifetime or maybe ever.
Yeah.
So we can only uncover what we know and what we can reach with long range telescopes, et cetera.
I want to look this up. How long is 1 light year?
5.879 to the 12th power. That's insane.
So the speed of light, that thing's expanding that fast.
6 trillion miles.
Trillion.
That's
insane.
So that's how vast our universe is, with an estimated 300 million life-supporting planets. Let's just keep that in mind as we move forward.
Okay. That number is already aggressively large. 300 million planets that could support life.
Yeah.
That's insane.
In our galaxy alone. Like you said, there's millions of galaxies, hundreds of millions. So, and we owe the majority of this to the NASA Kepler Space Telescope, which has been feeding data in for a long time. And I think it stopped recording data in 2018. In conjunction with, of course, NASA and the SETI Institute. I believe that's it. Yeah, SETI Institute. So yeah, let's keep that in mind as we move forward. So modern day humans have been around for about 300,000 years. And the written word, the earliest evidence of the written word is in Mesopotamia, modern day Iraq, 5,500 years ago. So in a 300,000 year period, we've only used the written word for 5,000 of those years. Now, why do I say that? Because how would humans evolve knowledge? How would we pass down knowledge? How would we actually become smarter? How would we pass knowledge generation to generation on how to survive, how to hunt? Oral history. Humans are a social, oral species where we pass knowledge down verbally. We've communicated verbally for hundreds of thousands of years, and we've only had the written word that we know of for about 5,000 to 6,000 years. So why do I bring that up? Because we don't fucking believe each other anymore. We've lost all belief in our species and our fellow man. Like, if you don't have a video of it or a photo of it, it didn't happen. No one will believe you. And we've completely lost touch with our oral tradition of this is how you survive. This is how you hunt. This is how you communicate and treat others, right? Like, we've been like that our entire history. And photos have been around for, when was it? In the 1800s, the camera was made. The video, camera was made in late 1800s. So we're relying on technology that we've only had for about 100 years to confirm our absolute true beliefs in each other and the world around us. So how does that make sense? How have we changed that much? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what do you think the biggest part of like video, picture, it didn't happen is? Like, how did we evolve from basically believing each other and telling each other things to for the entirety of our existence to like,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's still liars down to the, beginning of time when someone figured it out. Right. But I think the cameras have become such an easy way to justify and to, realize what's being said is true. And then you have video cameras too, right? So it's kind of like a catch-22 because the way that we evolve, with technology, it's easy to believe someone's telling the truth when you can see it for yourself. And a lot of people lie for a lot of reasons, right? And there's more reasons to lie probably today than ever.
It's like a deep question, right?
Yeah.
It's like you almost have to think about the entirety of humanity. So I have some lying stats I want to throw your way.
Yeah.
The average human in a 10-minute conversation with a stranger will lie 3 times in a 10-minute conversation with a stranger, the average human. That's kind of crazy to me to think about.
So you below average people keep lying. I see you.
Yeah. The truth tellers are going to stay. No. And then humans are able to lie about 6 months old. They develop the skills of lying. You like see a little baby who's like crying and like looking around and like, who's believing me? And then starts crying again.
Yeah.
So like our brain typically develops the capacity to lie about 6 months old. Humans that are pathological liars will have more white matter in their brain chemically. Like this is like a science. And humans that tell the truth will have more gray matter in their brain. And what is the difference? Gray matter is critical thinking, and white matter is associated with more of like memorizing information or, processing information, but not critical thinking. So if you're lying all the time, think about it. You're only trying to remember information that you've told because you're caught in a lie and you need to remember your lie. But if gray matter, if you're telling the truth all the time, you can critically think better through situations because you're actually looking for the truth in a situation, not just how can I lie or how can I get out of this. So like there is scientific data and chemicals in our brain that will evolve based off whether we tell the truth or not, which is crazy to me.
So it sounds like a lot of really smart people are probably liars.
But that's the thing, right? But this is why Eckhart Tolle always says, like, you can either intelligence, you don't want to be clever, right? Politicians can be clever. And like, that's just like lying to get your way or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's a very short form of gratification. But wisdom is truth telling. Wisdom is the ability to see the difference, right? So it's like, do you want to be intelligent and clever, or do you want to be wise and truthful? You know what I mean? Like those are the two. Like intelligence created the atom bomb, but would wisdom have created the atom bomb?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right. And it's like, obviously you look at like ended the war or whatever, but it's still a mass genocidal weapon.
Yeah. But I also agree in different forms of intelligence, right? There's emotional intelligence. There's, book smart intelligence. There's street intelligence, having street smarts. Physical intelligence with your body. Some people are got nothing going on upstairs, but they're jacked. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of different forms of intelligence. But to what you're saying, I love the comparison of intelligence versus wisdom. And wisdom is in my opinion, a much more valuable tool.
In the long run, I think it's healthier. I think it's better to strive for wisdom. And it's like, you might be saying like, well, if you're smart, you're smart. And it's like, no, like you just said, like, if you're smart, you can manipulate people, but does that mean you're doing a good job, like a good thing for humanity?
Well, I've also found that there's been very smart people that will believe themselves and they'll find justifications for their way of thinking, and whether it's right or wrong, they'll believe it's right, and then they'll convince themselves and try to convince others when it can be clearly wrong as day, as night, wrong as day. It could be wrong.
No, for sure. And that's exactly right. Like the ego is blind, dude. Like when you're acting out of ego, you don't even realize that you're doing something wrong, or you convince yourself that you're doing something right. I think even Jesus said that. I mean, I know Eckhart says it all the time, like the ego is blind, because a lot of people don't even realize when they're lying or like lying to themselves or lying to someone else.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's like, it was a huge conversation we could talk about for a long time, but like, I always think about that. Like, why don't we just believe people anymore? And it's like, of course, we have to follow through and be thorough. If someone says they saw an alien or a UFO, you have to follow through. Of course, you're not just going to believe everybody that says that because human beings lie.
Yeah.
But we've also got better at understanding when people are lying.
Yeah.
Right. So like, because of lying, we've also adapted to be able to catch people in lies more.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of motive reasons why somebody would lie too, you know, like even in current day, you know, if you're the first person, quote unquote, obviously there's been plenty of sightings of UFOs, but if you're the first person to have real evidence or a convincing, you know, testimony, that there's things like fame that come along with that, right? It might lead to money, might lead to, you know, a change in circumstance. Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons. I know that's just one example, but why somebody would do that. So I think that's why, you know, it's not just like, I don't know, it's so hyper complex because it can go every single way, you know, the idea of why somebody would do that or why people do anything, really.
I totally agree.
But I think there are people out there that are telling the truth about what they've seen and are sharing it, and people still don't believe it.
And that's a perfect transition into our first case.
That's why I said it.
The class of school children in Zimbabwe, they brought in a Harvard pediatric psychologist.
This alleged encounter caught the attention of Pulitzer Prize-winning Harvard psychiatrist Dr. John Mack.
The entire class of school children in Zimbabwe, they all drew the exact same UFO and alien when asked about it. And so basically what happened is these children are out at recess, out playing. Something lands in the distance. They go check it out. No teachers were there. No adults were there. But every single child said the same exact thing. They saw the same exact thing.
And he had big eyes.
He had a big head and big black eyes.
It had big eyes. That's all I saw about it, big eyes.
Down to what they felt when they locked eyes with the alien, that it was some sort of warning that our technology was bad. Some sort of like feeling took them over that something's wrong with humans and our technology, and just to be aware of it.
I think they want people to know that we're actually making harm on this world and we mustn't get too technologized.
They brought in Harvard psychologist. Every single child passed that examination with flying colors, and not one of them was lying, according to one of the best children's psychologists on the planet. So what happened? Did they see a UFO? Did they see the alien that they all said? Or children's imaginations are pretty crazy, but how do all, 20 of them see and say the exact same thing when questioned individually? You'll get a great view of this, case of this, in The Phenomenon, the documentary called The Phenomenon.
I was just going to mention that because we watched that together, actually. And so he goes into depth with footage and documentation and you know, interview with the Harvard pediatric psychologist. And yeah, there's just a lot in there that makes it very convincing, you know. And I think that, what's the guy's name that created that? James Fox. I think he did a great job at putting in as much factual information as he possibly could. And I'm sure he has more information that he couldn't share yet or wasn't cleared yet, or, you know, still classified information that's out there. But yeah, I think it was a very well done documentary that kind of taps in and makes you really question things as far as aliens and what's going on this planet.
Well, and they also brought the children back as adults for the documentary, and they all still swore by it. And they said that was the worst thing to ever happen to us because the media frenzy was crazy. No, we were called liars. We were yelled at. We were blah, 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 blah. And then, you know, as adults looking back on it, they're just like, I that's what we saw.
Yeah. And the main takeaway for for the kids, like you said, was the feeling they got. It wasn't words, I don't think, and maybe there's telepathic communication is what they're saying, but it was that what we're doing to this planet. No, this is not a quote for quote, but what we're doing this planet with technology is destroying us. You know, we're doing very bad things with technology, and it's. I don't know, man. I think about that sometimes because we're getting deeper and deeper dived into that world and less in this physical world and spiritual world that we're in, and being rooted and connected to, you know, the earth. There's a reason we have grounding, and we are from here. So I don't know. There's a lot going on. I don't know where I'm going with that, but
no, I mean, you combine all of that with all these UFO sightings at military bases and nuclear facilities. That's by far the number one most UFO sighted seen places are nuclear facilities and military bases. So it's like, of course they're trying to warn us about that. We can destroy ourselves and our planet 100 times over with all of our nuclear arsenals. If there's one thing to warn us about, it's that.
Which is one of the dumbest things living on a planet altogether that we can do. And it's the only actual home we have. We got nowhere to go, and we don't have any way to get there, even if we did.
Right.
So the fact that we, out of pure control or greed or whatever the motives are.
Yeah, money, control, yeah.
It's so stupid. We should be getting along and enjoying the beauty of life instead of the worried about us. Sometimes I just feel like we're just big apes, you know what I mean? Like, what's the point?
Well, how about the story of the Russian nuclear facility that they see a UFO above? Every missile without any launch codes is prepped to launch, and then it just stops on its own, and then the UFO flies away.
Dude,
it's like...
That's a flex right there.
100%, and it's like, that could have ended the world.
100%.
We were seconds away from the world ending.
And that's terrifying to show. And then that puts in perspective how little control you when you think you're in control, how little you really have.
Yeah.
If there are, these UFOs out there, what they should have done is launched them and just sent them into deep space where it affected nobody, and then we have nothing left.
Get them out of here.
We don't want these anymore, guys.
I mean, I think the next stage in human evolution will be de-arming the nuclear arsenals of the major powers.
Yeah.
What do we have to do to get there? I don't know, but transform it into nuclear power.
It's like we should be putting our energy into things that make the world better instead of things that can destroy it and each other.
100%. So, I mean, that's one of the most credible UFO sightings ever, is this entire group of children seeing this, being analyzed by psychologists, being revisiting 20 years later. Roswell. One of the most famous alien sightings of all time.
Famous in film and TV as well.
Totally. So our buddy Michael Flamis is on Roswell. Or was on. Are they still doing it? Hopefully.
I think the show's canceled, but yeah. Sorry, Mike.
We love you. Basically, this farmer, spaceship crashes. He calls the cops or the government, whatever. Men in black show up, take everything. But he actually had time to analyze it and look at what it was. He said it was metal, but it was lighter than metal and stronger than metal.
The thing about that got me is that you couldn't even bend it, you couldn't bend it. Even with a sledgehammer would bounce off it. And
when asked, do you think it was weather balloons like the military said, he said, the only thing I know for sure that it wasn't is a weather balloon.
That's hilarious.
Right? Like this guy, I can't even believe he was allowed to do an interview. And in the Phenomenon, this same documentary, which we highly recommend, they actually had an interview from him, which I didn't know existed.
Well, I think that he agreed to be silent from the sounds. I think it was in the Phenomenon that he agreed to be silent for a long time, and then eventually he was like, "No, I got to say something. Like this is insane."
Right.
That whatever the pieces, shrapnel, scraps left over from this weather balloon was not what he originally found. Right. And exactly what you said. I think he said that you can it was like tinfoil, but it was like almost impenetrable or something, and then it could go from crinkled or whatever, and then you could make it smooth again or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think that's what that was. But it was like this incredibly strong, dense, and I'm curious how it would stand up against, different kinds of elements. Like imagine taking it to a torture test it. How resilient is this thing? And
Totally.
how is it that?
Yeah, and like
Imagine if we had outfits like that. We'd just be walking around bulletproof with like suits on or something, a little t-shirt, a little shiny t-shirt,
and that's the other thing, dude, is like it's made of something not on our elemental table. Like there's more to discover than our elemental table. And some people are working on that right now. Like some really smart scientists are trying to figure out like how to make other elements and vibranium, bro. They need to Tony Stark this.
I'm just thinking about becoming Wolverine, dude.
Yeah. Unobtainium, like Avatar. This dumbest name for a mineral ever.
Literally, they're obtaining unobtainium.
Well, then I looked it up. Unobtainium's like, it's like an archaeological term or a geological term for like a rock that you can't describe or like doesn't exist. It's like a made up word for like a made up thing.
I just,
now
that you said it, I never really thought about it like that, but it's just so on the nose that it's not that clever. When you really think about it, obviously Avatar is incredible. And
we're not throwing shade at Cameron. We're just
but unobtainium. All right.
Yeah. At least vibranium's like vibrate
adamantium.
Yeah.
Damn, I just realized I really want to be Wolverine, dude.
You'd be a good Wolverine. You'd be a good Sabretooth. You'd be a good Sabretooth.
I want to be Sabretooth so bad, like a real version of Sabretooth, not anything that Marvel has ever done before. Like,
well, the Fox X-Men ones were pretty good. That like the one from the original X-Men.
Yeah.
Remember like Wolverine and Sabretooth? It was before Disney. Before the dark times.
Well, for me, like when you look into, I know we're getting off topic just for a quick second, but with Sabretooth, he's more in touch with his animal side, right? He's actually stronger than Wolverine.
But he can't self-heal.
He can't?
Maybe he can.
He can.
I'm speaking out of my ass. But Wolverine has like the has the metal, which helps him.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think that there's like a whole 50 years or more where he just disappears into the woods or something like that, and he just lets his animal side completely, come out or something like that. But
that's sick.
I think you could do such a cool story with Sabretooth. Like it's never going to be Wolverine, obviously. But
Wolverine's the most popular, like, yeah.
Yeah, and Wolverine and even, Hugh Jackman is incredible. But
yeah,
doing this like raw, almost a little dark, different version that nobody's really seen before of Sabretooth could be so cool.
You'd be a good Kraven the Hunter too. Maybe the Deadpool 3 you gotta go out for that.
I would love to.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
All right, back to UFOs.
Okay.
Back to our regularly scheduled content.
So yeah, like I encourage people to look into Roswell because it was like one of the most obvious examples ever, and maybe one of the first, but very, very obvious. All right, military fighter pilot with footage, the Tic Tac, the famous Tic Tac.
Picture a Tic Tac that's about 40 feet long, round on both ends, no rivets, no metal, smooth white.
These pilots have been recording UFOs for at least 2 decades. At least like since 2003. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until like 2017 that they made the footage public. And they literally said, like, we've seen these every day for 3 years. Like, that's how crazy it is. So,
and what do they do about it?
Nothing. We don't engage because Russia learned the hard way. Russia was shooting at them for a while. And then they saw like hundreds of them over Moscow one night. And they're like, okay, we're not shooting at these anymore. Like, They could take us out like that.
And there's no video footage of that?
There might be, but it's like
it's
from Russia in like the 70s or something.
Oh, wow.
And because they're like...
Can you imagine?
Yeah, they're like, okay, this isn't the United States.
Yeah.
So like, we won't shoot at them anymore.
Wow.
But yeah, Russia actually has like a deep, deep history and connection with UFOs. Like they have... I don't know. I don't want to say more info than us, but a lot.
I wonder if there's any correlation to geographical location and not geographical, but maybe more of like what kind of elements they're more prevalent in each area, or is there like why would there be more in Russia or a lot in the U.S. or more?
Well, think about it. The two biggest nuclear powers in the world.
Yeah.
We have more nuclear facilities in Russia and the United States than anywhere. So that's my theory. Obviously, these are all theories, but and the landmass alone, like U.S. bigger than Europe, essentially, and Russia,
I guess
gigantic.
I guess I was thinking that, if it's real, that I would have assumed they would be coming here before we had any of that stuff. So why were they where they were? I mean, just look at the pyramids. And the technology that we had to have had
Just
to create
build it.
stuff, that we can't recreate right now, right? So, I'm not saying that that's alien or not, but there's all of these ancient hieroglyphs and
Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah, all this information and stuff that doesn't really connect. And I think that there's plenty of documentation in stone, that of alien-like figures at least.
Right.
So I don't know. I want to believe it so bad, dude. And I want it to happen. It's got to be there. I feel like you'd have to be, unless it's disproven, it is possible.
Right. So I agree, though. There would have been no way of knowing if some of these. One of the things Bob Lazar said on Joe Rogan was, he's like, "Where do you think it came from?" He's like, "Well, different departments can't communicate with each other at Area 51 or wherever he was, and information's very limited. However, I think I remember my partner saying at one point that one of these crafts or one of these engines, like an alien engine, anti-gravity type stuff, was found in an archaeological dig."
No way.
Dude, that tripped me out so fucking hard, because it's no, this wasn't a recent crash landing. This was an ancient device.
You found thousands of years ago.
Yeah, that we still don't understand.
Dude.
And they'll work on it and then put it away for a decade and then come back to it
when we have more technology or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, growing up with movies and stuff, E.T. and Alien and all kinds of different films in that genre.
Yeah, of course. Predator.
It makes you and we have, because of the idea of it is equally as intriguing as it is terrifying, right? Knowing that we are either smaller or less intelligent. We're not the center of the universe, like everyone used to think.
Hell, they killed Copernicus for it.
Yeah, and
Galileo.
But it's such an attractive thought, I think, to me, to imagine and want to believe that it's real. I think there's no way that there isn't. I got to be honest when I say that. There's no way that there isn't, and I don't have physical proof of it yet. But it's more possible than impossible when you break down, even in our immediate galaxy, 300 million. Think about that. That's not 300. 300 would be insane. 300 million is mind-blowing. And then to see that it's been a part of culture and history for generations and thousands of years, it looks like, of sightings or communication or, some types of evidence that maybe it's not the crystal clear, perfect 6K, 4K footage that everyone needs, an alien coming out and saying, "Hey, we actually have been here the whole time." But there's still elements of it all everywhere all the time. It's got to be. Otherwise, what is it? Is it us?
Well, that's another theory, is that why are we so different from our chimpanzee primates? And maybe we're the hybrid. Maybe we are aliens. Maybe aliens came, and that's the Dead Sea Scrolls in the Book of Enoch talk about a group called the Watchers, which is essentially a group of angels that came down and they fell in love with human women, breeded with them.
Naturally.
And then human men got jealous and vanished the Watchers down to the center of the earth or underground.
That's wild.
So what if that's the Book of Enoch? It's the Dead Sea Scrolls, a lost text. And what if that's real?
We may have to cut this, but low key, I think I want to make that movie. Think about how sick that would be. But like not, maybe touch base on that initial part of it, but really it's more like the descendant of them that still watch. Like, I could be a freaking, I could be a watcher descendant. Let's
You're
go.
an Enochian.
Yeah. What is that what they're called?
And yeah, Enochians.
Enochian. Is that different from Anunnaki?
Yeah.
Enochian. Dude.
Or Anunnaki, but it all derives from Enoch in the Book of Enoch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dope.
But there's like a group of giants that are called something too. But
I could also be related. I'm just saying.
Okay, let's cut back in.
Go back in. Sorry.
The whistleblower that just came out, who said, we have UFOs, we've had them for decades, and we have aliens, because who do you think crashes with the UFO? The pilot. So not only do we have aliens and UFOs, but the government's had this for decades, and they've been hiding it from us for decades.
He claims we not only have the aircraft, but the government has been keeping much of its secret from Congress and from the public.
Why does the government hide information from us? I don't know. However, my belief is human evolution, the next stage of human evolution is going to be a conscious enlightenment. And in order to achieve that, humans have to share knowledge with each other. We have to enlighten each other. We have to show people the path to enlightenment so we can achieve it ourselves. Only you can achieve enlightenment for yourself. No one can do that for you, but others can show you the way and teach you. And in order for that to happen, we need to know all the pieces on the board so every human can not only contribute to that vast knowledge, but also collectively evolve through that vast knowledge, that collective consciousness. And if we're hiding the biggest secret and the biggest question ever in humanity, are we alone? What good does that do us as advancing as a species? I've learned so much by watching YouTube videos made from people all over the world talk about how talk about collective consciousness and collective knowledge. Like, I learn new things every day from people all over the world because of YouTube or Instagram or whatever it is. And but not only that, the internet. We've had the internet for just as long. It's just easier. The information's packaged in a more easily conveyable way. It's packaged in a more entertaining way even. You, instead of reading some boring article hidden away on the internet, you can watch a fun YouTube video about the same exact topic.
Yeah. With
graphics and all that. So everyone, as a human species, we need all the pieces on the board in order to evolve and in order to, evolve as a species.
Yeah, I mean, that's the catch-22 with technology, right? Is, we might be stepping away from our, nature, our innate nature, right? But we're also stepping towards something greater of that interconnectedness in a different way, right? We're connecting not with our immediate physical surroundings, but we're connecting, you just said, hundreds of videos, thousands of people all over the world in a more entertaining way, right? And there's so many ways to digest information and so many ways that work better for other people than just one singular form that might be a boring paper, right? So, yeah, I think that it's helping us evolve because we're able to access information versus even back in the day communicating via, pigeons or paper and mail on horseback. You got to wait weeks for one letter.
Yeah.
It's I would be writing a novel before I sent that. You know what I mean?
Every single thing I did.
Yeah. And then because today it's just not enough. And to have that immediate access, I feel like it helps us evolve and create. And that's why technology is not only helping us, evolve technology, but we're doing it and it's getting exponentially faster as we continue on. But obviously, if there's these crafts out there and all this other technology, it's way more advanced than anything we've created yet. So are they still trying to crack the code, or do they already have everything and they're holding back on us?
Well, that's the thing. David Grush would argue that they already have it.
Call it spacecraft, if you will, non-human, exotic origin, vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
And, obviously we're trying to reverse engineer it and copy it, but it's not working because the elements don't exist in our system.
Well, I think I saw a documentary with Bob Lazar. We don't have these elements that it takes to develop or power these. They're still of our elemental table, but they've been what looks like modified. They've been changed to become different variations of the elements. So someone's gone in and essentially tampered with them and made them different. So we don't have the ability to do that yet, but obviously it's been shown that it's been done in some way, shape, or form. If all of these, sayings and theories and stuff that people are talking about, like Bob Lazar, for example, are true.
And by the way, is the government lying to us? Did they send this whistleblower out to lie to us just so the Pentagon can shut it down? Maybe. Like, they're known for doing disinformation campaigns to confuse us. And like, maybe it's a little bit of true information with some false information, so it's a false lead, right? Like, that's what they do. And it doesn't make any sense. But I'm not going to get too deep into that.
I don't know anything about that. So.
Me either. I don't know. I don't know. I just really want to know about aliens.
Dude,
that's it.
I hope that we are the first podcast to interview an alien.
That would be groundbreaking.
It would be sick.
Right. While we were planning this episode, another UFO thing happened in Vegas.
The only thing I know about this is what I've seen, that there's a police recording of the phone call.
Well, and the blue orb falling from the sky on the police body cam.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay.
And a Ring door recording of it crashing.
Wow. So what have I seen? Are people just making this up, that they're saying that there's been they saw an 8 to 10 foot alien or something like that?
Well, there's no video of the actual aliens, but the kid described them exactly how the kids in Zimbabwe described them.
But
big eyes, humanoid, very skinny. Yeah.
But 8 to 10 feet tall?
Yeah. I don't think the ones in Zimbabwe were 8 to 10 feet tall. I think they were short.
Yeah, little ones.
But it was the exact same makeup outside of the height.
What'd you see?
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
Whoa, dude. What if those were just little baby ones and then these are the big daddies?
Right, which is why they went to the children.
Dang.
So, yeah, but he said they heard their footsteps outside. He said when he saw them, he completely froze and he felt paralyzed, which is, by the way, another telepathic feeling of when you lock eyes with them, you lose control of your body or you start thinking. There's a connection there.
You don't think it's just being absolutely petrified by seeing one of the scariest things you're ever going to see?
Easily could be.
I guess, yeah.
It could be a natural human reaction.
Yeah. If it happens to me and I can't tackle the thing, we know it's telepathic. I heard that, what was the saying? I think it was in The Phenomenon, or maybe it was the Joe Rogan podcast with James Fox, about how when they found the aliens in a crash landing, one of the guys, I think they're military maybe, touched one of the aliens, and then I think he died later.
Oh yeah,
because of that. So
yeah,
I won't be touching any aliens anytime soon.
Was it the alien or was it the radiation from the UFO or something?
I don't know, because I think that they're both in the same vicinity of it, but I think he was the one that touched the alien.
Okay. Maybe the South America one? Varginha?
Yeah, it might have
that
been
was a crazy one.
Yeah, because that's the one where they took him to the hospital, right?
Yeah. That's another one we could have covered, but we just wanted to focus on 5 and with the most evidence, the most credible, we thought. But there's tons of them, man. There's tons of them. There was one at a military base here in California in the desert where these soldiers are standing outside recording for 20, 30 minutes. And by the time they sent platoons out after them, it's gone. But it was a triangular spaced craft with lights that hovered there, did not move. We don't have vehicles that can hover there without moving.
Without
a
noise,
helicopter
right?
is the closest thing, but that's it. And
yeah, we have jets that can do that, but not like how they're described.
This was not a jet. Yeah. Because they even have a photo of the craft. It's a silver craft, no windows, exactly how every UFO is.
Wow.
It was at night, so it's like tough to see, but he has like a low light photograph of it. It's gnarly.
Really? Where is this from?
A military base in like Hemet, California, like right here, like super close. And the military guys are like, holy shit, like there's a UFO.
Dang, that's wild.
Dude, I mean, there's countless examples of this. Like,
tell me a little bit more about what you know about the Vegas one, since that just happened.
Okay, yeah. They heard the footsteps. They described the aliens, the 911 call, like you mentioned, the blue light falling from the sky, the circular pattern in their yard, almost every single thing besides like video of an alien or video of the thing. But even though they have video,
do you think maybe they actually got video and it was somebody's not letting it out? That's a lot of. There's got to be a lot of cameras in Vegas.
Well, right, but on the Ring doorbell, they have it crashing. They have the sound. The sound is trippy. Right. But here's the thing: like, the kid sat down and made a video right after. He's like, "I just saw aliens. Here's what it looked like. I called the cops. Blah blah blah." And like, he recorded a video showing the ring footage, showing the light. So like,
that's one of the best things he could do, too.
Yeah, he's just like, get it all out.
The only thing I can see in the backyard is a tall creature, probably around 8-10 feet tall, very thin. He was a gray-greenish color, and when I looked at it in the eyes, my body just froze.
Yeah, because then if you have one of those, like the Harvard psychologist, dissect it, it's like that was my immediate reaction to seeing an alien.
Yeah.
How old was the kid?
He looked like 13, maybe. 14.
Pretty young.
Yeah. Like a young teenager.
What a wow. That'll change your world real quick.
Yeah.
Dude.
But again,
I mean,
like,
I see one every morning when I wake up, but
because it's like so fresh and new, like they'll be studying and interviewing these guys or studying this incident and like investigating this for years, probably.
That's crazy.
And that's what the Russian scientists would do. They'd analyze the soil of a UFO crash, and what would happen is there'd be no microorganisms left under the crash site. So like there'd be microorganisms in the soil all around it, but not where it landed.
It just kills everything.
Not dead microorganisms. Zero evidence of them. So the radiation either burned them up it's crazy, man.
They took them with them.
I mean, something happened. Like, not dead ones, like no existence of them.
So they just completely. So if they didn't evaporate, they could have immediately exited the vicinity.
They can't move that fast.
Oh, they dead.
Right? Dead. Like, yeah, it's trippy, man. Like, I'm just happy there's like a community around this and people actually are taking this seriously now. And the government is even becoming, more honest, I should say. We have whistleblowers coming out and like, it's just becoming more commonly accepted. People aren't being pushed to the fringe and ridiculed and completely destroyed for like, claiming they've seen one or have, or even just studying it.
Yeah. But that is also, I think, another benefit of technology is eventually it's going to get to a point where
we're gonna get the smoking gun.
Yeah. You're not going to be able to hide it because you're going to have the evidence. You know, it's just going to be there.
And that day will be brilliant and we'll cover it here on Studio 12. But yeah, man, like, look, I'm, as they say, a healthy skeptic. But if you tell me there's 300 million habitable planets in our galaxy, how arrogant do we have to be to think we're the only life form in 300 million planets?
I don't want to be the only life form, dude.
Yeah.
No, it's not that cool.
And
it's cool. I like it. I'm glad to be alive. But.
Yeah, I like life. I love life. But the other thing is, if you believe in God and you're saying, no, God created humans. Well, no shit. We love humans. We love God. I believe in God. I was baptized. I'm a Christian. Like, how great is our God? He created a universe that is ever expanding at light year speed, has over 100 billion planets in it, and maybe there's other forms of life he's created. And I'm fine with that. Like,
that's
how great he is.
Didn't he make the whole world in 7 days?
Fuck yeah. If he does us in 7 days, then fucking think of what he can do in the universe.
That's, yeah. Yeah, there's got to be something else out there.
For sure.
And I'm excited to see. I hope they're homies. Be nice. I got nothing against you guys.
We got nothing against you. We come in peace.
Come on the studio. You're always invited.
Aliens.
Studio 22.
I know you're listening. Give us the first interview ever.
How sick would that be?
Nah, man. Healthy skepticism is the way to go. And, you know, we'll just keep monitoring this and looking for proof. And that's why I like incorporating the actual data and the science, because I want to know what are the odds. Like Han Solo. Never tell me the odds.
Does
it look like me? It's got big eyes.
It does.
Well, yeah, man. This was a fun one.
UFOs. Do you believe or do you not? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below.
Yeah, we want to hear your thoughts on this. Like, are we crazy for even thinking of this? Or are we just following science and evidence?
You're like, that's like your way of defending yourself of not being crazy.
Yeah.
Science, guys. It's there.
It's there.
Take it or leave it.
For sure. But we're excited to hear your thoughts.
Dude.
Thank you for tuning in, and I love you all.
If anybody's out there and you have any experience with UFOs, submit it in the comment section to us, and we may just have to interview you on Studio 22.
100%.
100%.
Thank you for watching Studio 22.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
And follow our socials at Studio 22 Podcast.